Well, hello guys, it is that time once again for another edition of Odds and Ends, where I read you some really weird news stories from all over the world, and hey, they don't call it Odds and Ends for a reason, you know? Yes, I know I am very late, but in my vlog I explain why, because it was party with celebrities, and then more partying, and then getting bitten by vampires. Right here, and right there. I don't know if you guys can actually see that. But yeah, crazy weekend though, but still made it out in one piece, and still haven't forgotten about you guys and Odds and Ends, so I'm sure you guys are very anxious to hear these stories as much as I am, so let's get to it, shall we? Our first story comes out of Belgium, where a 67-year-old motorist drove nearly 1,000 miles away from her, out of her way because her car's GPS told her to. On January 5th, Senior Sabine Murillo intended to drive from her hometown in Hanuat Erkenles, I can't pronounce that for the life of me, to pick up a friend at a train station in Brussels. The drive should have been 93 miles from start to finish. Instead, the global positioning system instructed Murillo to head south and keep driving, which she did, crossing nearly the entire European continent. Monroe logged more than 900 miles, leaving Belgium, crossing all of Germany, all of Austria, and finally ending up in Zagberg, Croatia. I'm probably sure I'm mispronouncing that, and I apologize. During the two-day journey, Murillo stopped several times to get gas, slept on the side of the road, and even got in a minor fender bender. Quote, "I was distracted, so I kept driving," she told El Mundo's Brussels correspondent. "I saw all kinds of traffic signs, first in French, then German, and finally in Croatian." I bet you that's what it is. Zerber, Croatia, Croatian. Anyways, but I kept driving because I was distracted. Suddenly I appeared in Zagberg, and I realized I wasn't in Belgium anymore. Back in Belgium, her friend took a taxi from the train station, and Monroe's relatives alerted police to her disappearance. Okay, you have a GPS. Why do you listen to what it says if you drove literally across the entire European continent and you went through Germany, Austria, and then in Croatia? Obviously, and you say, quote unquote, saw signs in French and Germany and then Croatian. I think you should know by now exactly where the train station is. If you've lived there and you are 67 years of age, obviously you should know where everything is. You don't need a GPS. But obviously something's wrong with it, and hopefully she can go back to whoever, if it's actually installed in the vehicle or if it's bought separately, and go back to whoever she bought it from and ask them to get a new one, have them fix it or do something. But it's just crazy, man. I mean, why? I, I don't understand. Literally, I don't understand it at all. And we're moving on to our next story, which comes out of Germany, and it has nothing to do with this woman. No, instead, it's the family of a patient who died after surgery to treat prostate cancer is suing the hospital because they say surgeons left 16 different items inside his body during the operation. Dirk Schroeder, I think that I'm just going to say Schroeder, I don't know. 74 reportedly suffered, quote, appalling agony for several months following his routine prostate operation. It wasn't until a visit by a nurse in Schroeder's hometown of Hanover, Lower Saxony, that the cause of the pain was pinpointed. Surgeons later removed 16 pieces of operating room equipment and supplies, including a needle, a 6-inch roll of bandage, a 6-inch long compress, several swabs, and a fragment of surgical mask. Schroeder passed away last year. His family has now launched a lawsuit against the hospital that did the initial surgery, seeking $125,000 in damages. The hospital, which has not been named, insists the surgical items entered Schroeder's body, quote, post-operative. Yeah, post-operative, yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. Because you were the ones who left 16 items in a goddamn prostate. A prostate, for Christ's sakes! Who the hell leaves tape, needles, compress, and a fragment of surgical mask in a prostate? Obviously these guys did because they weren't paying attention and they're just like, oh, they just dropped it in there, but I'm probably sure they didn't want to cause any more damage to the patient and make the surgery any longer. I say find the doctors who did the surgery and sue them for damages. And maybe the hospital too, because if they're working for the hospital, then maybe you might get a little more out of it. I can't say for sure though, but I can see why that would hurt, and ouch. Especially the needle. I think the needle would be like, ow. And we're moving on to our next story, which comes out of Spain, where zookeepers at the Seville Zoo say one of their chimps has become addicted to porn. The ape, named Gina, picked up the habit after a television set was installed in her enclosure for stimulation. Primatologist Pablo Herreros told El Mundo, quote, to enliven Gina's nights, officials decided to install a Freeview television protected behind glass and gave her a remote control so she could change the channels herself. Zookeepers monitored Gina's television time to make sure she did not damage the new toy. Quote, the surprise came when they found that within a few days Gina was not only using the remote control perfectly well, but that she chose the porn channel for entertainment, and many of us would have, done, said Herreros. According to the professional primatologist, non-human primates, quote, possess an intense sexual life. Okay, I can see that, because they gave her a TV and remote and, give her something that would, kind of spark her interest, and she chose the porn channel. And what did the guy say? Many of us would have done. Okay, how many of you in the area of Spain, I don't know exactly where this is, probably Seville, probably a city or a town, out of all the people in there, how many of you would chosen the porn channel? How many of you? I can't say because I'm not no professional, nor do I even know. But that is interesting that non-human primates, quote, possess an intense sexual life. So I don't know if they're actually going to get her a mate or if she's just enclosed by herself. But if they do tend to get her a partner, I don't know what could and possibly happen though. But like I said, I'm not no expert when it comes to animals, or a zookeeper, or a primatologist, so I don't study primates or anything like that, so I can't say for sure though, but who knows what might happen. And we are moving on to our final story, which comes out of Ohio, where a former high school teacher is suing the Cincinnati School District, where she used to work, for forcing her to teach young people. Maria C. Walther Willard, 61, has been teaching Spanish and French at Marymount High School since 1976. Walter Willard says she had some intense fear of young people when she was transferred to the district's middle school in 2009. She suffered severe physical and mental problems. Although the 9th graders she previously taught weren't young enough to set her off, the 8th graders apparently were. In her lawsuit, Walther Willard says that her phobia of young children falls under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that transferring her to another school caused her to experience general anxiety, high blood pressure, and a gastrointestinal illness. The move allegedly caused the student-fearing teacher to retire in 2010. A statement from her doctor included in the lawsuit states, quote, the mental anguish suffered by, parentheses, Walther Willard, is a serious and of a nature that no reasonable person could be experienced to endure the same. The school district said Walther Willard was transferred because the French program at the high school where she worked was being turned into an online course, and the middle school needed a Spanish teacher. Earlier this month, a judge dismissed 3 of the ex-teacher's claims, but left a discrimination claim standing. Walter Willard, who still gets 89% of her salary in retirement, is suing for unspecified damages. Okay, you've been teaching at this high school in Cincinnati since 1976, and you've been teaching French and Spanish. Okay, school district decides we're going to turn the French into online classes, and some of these kids still need to learn Spanish. Yet you told them in advance, this is not going to work because it's going to give me massive anxiety, high blood pressure, and an illness. Yet you still went ahead and did it, and then look what happened. You're going to end up getting sued, and I'm talking about the school, I'm not talking about the woman who's actually involved in all this, because most of the money she gets is from her retirement, which isn't not that bad at all. And also, if you told the school district, supervisor, hey, this really isn't going to work out because it's going to make me go AWOL and whatnot, why did they still even insisted on putting you there? And this is what happens. You end up in weird news stories, and this has ended up on YouTube. But that's just how it goes. So anyways, guys, that is it for this edition of Odds and Ends, and I really hope you guys enjoyed listening to those stories as much as I like reading them to you, and we will see you guys Thursday for another edition. And I promise you, I promise on my unborn child's life that I will be back on schedule on Thursday for sure, because this last week was just pure carnage and chaos and just a full of shenanigans in a nutshell. But anyways, guys, we'll see you on Thursday, and until next time, we'll see you guys later. Take it easy. And watch out for those vampires, because this is what happens. They'll bite you. Yeah.